I promised you in the live that I would give you more information about dominance and how that related to dyslexia. And just to review, Samuel Orton, who named dyslexia, said there were several different things that he was observing with these people. He was seeing eye issues with some of them. He was seeing coordination issues, balance issues, dominance issues that we're going to go into, and he saw phonetic awareness. Somehow along the way, all of that kind of disappeared and they just do phonics. But I'm Dr. Jan Bedell. I've been doing work in neurodevelopment for over 30 years and seeing amazing results when we look at the whole picture, not just one little piece. The children that have phonetic awareness as their main issue do great with all of the interventions that they have now for dyslexia. But if they have any combination of these other things, the progress is either slowed, gets to a halt. Like I've heard from some administrators saying, we're just taking them out of the dyslexia program because they've been in it for 2 years and aren't making any progress. Well, something else is going on if that's the case. So we have to look at these other areas. We are a very complex being. We are fearfully, wonderfully made in that one area in our development affects another area. So if you haven't heard the ones about that I talked about with the eye issues and the balance, and the coordination, go ahead and listen to those. They'll be in the playlist for you. But today we're going to concentrate on dominance. What is dominance and how does it make a difference with people with dyslexia? Well, dominance has several different aspects. The first one that you may already know about is the dominant hand. So if a person has, they have genetically predisposed, supposed to have a dominant hand, either right-handed or left-handed. Now, if you come from a family that has left-handed people in it, grandparents, aunts, uncles, that kind of thing, then the child might be supposed to be left-handed. Since we live in a right-handed world, oftentimes we influence the child to go to the right, and it really causes problems down the road. Because it's genetic and you're going against the genetic grain, then it is a real challenge. I had that situation with a 15-year-old that I saw a few years ago. And when he was in kindergarten, he was still switching back and forth with one hand. He'd get tired and write with the other hand. So his teacher at that time, well-meaning kindergarten teacher, said, well, you're switching back and forth. You're already 5. Let's just go to the right because we're in a right-handed world. It'll be easier. Well, the only thing easier about being right-handed is if you're genetically supposed to be right-handed. If you're genetically left-handed, which this individual was, you go against that genetic grain and everything is harder. So he had struggled all this time in school. He actually went to school with my daughter in high school and found out about what we did. We tested him and strong suspicion that he was using the wrong hand. And when we did a trial for that and moved him to the left, everything changed for him. I mean, he just took off. It was kind of like the body just said, oh, finally, I can do what I was designed to do. And so he did great. And so that tells you it's never too late. A hand dominance should be established somewhere between 4 and 8 years old. If they're still switching back and forth in that time, something's happened to that underlying development that's made it where they are not doing as well with that foundation that needs to happen for the dominance to come out and that true dominance to come out and be correct genetically. So one thing I'm not saying if your child's got a dyslexic label that they're using the wrong hand. Don't get me wrong. This is a small percentage of people that are dyslexic that are using the wrong hand. If your child did that, you remember them going back and forth, or you're still seeing them maybe eat with their left hand or cut with their left hand or build Legos with their left hand, that could give you a clue that they're using the wrong hand. Oftentimes, it's best to get some real professional help. We can help with that and help you determine which one is the genetic hand and get them back on the right genetic road. Now, there's other dominants too. There's eye and ear and foot dominance. Sometimes this is associated with, or influenced, I should say, rather, influenced by things in the environment. Maybe an eye doesn't see as well as the other eye. The acuity isn't as good, so the brain's going to choose the one that sees better. Or as an infant, the child is always laid down on one side and their eyes kind of blocked, so they're kind of using the other eye, always laid down in the same position. There's a number of different things, like with the ear infections can affect dominance. If they've got fluid on their ears, that muffles the sound, and the brain says, "Oh, I can't deal with that. I'm going to use the other ear." And so, if they had chronic ear infections as an infant or a young child, this could influence the dominance of that ear. So let me tell you a little bit about eye dominance, how you can check for it, and know whether your child's using the wrong eye. Because probably a really high percentage, probably 90+% of the children that I have that come in with dyslexia are using the wrong eye and ear, or eye or ear, one or the other, or both. So to check for eye dominance, you want to get a little kaleidoscope, something with a small little hole, and you put it right down in front of them on the table, right at the midline, not on one side or the other, and just ask them to pick it up and put it to their eye. So you make a note, are they going to the right eye? Or are they going to the left eye? And you want to encourage them to keep both eyes open so they're not just influenced by closing an eye to get that dominance understood by you correctly. And you might try it several different times and on different days and see if you get the same response. If sometimes they're going to the right eye and sometimes to the left eye, that just means they're mixed. At near point, seen up close, sometimes they're using the right, sometimes they're left. Now, at far point, there's a couple of different things you can do. One is, and probably the easiest one, is to get a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll, have them hold it between their two thumbs like this and their fingers, and have their arms straight out, and then have them look through that hole, and you can look right down that hole and see which one they're using. They're going to be away from you maybe about 6 or 8 feet when they do that. And then you're testing for far point eye dominance. And this could be different. They could be using their right eye up close and their left eye far away. So that is a really good way to check for eye dominance. Now, what does this mean? It affects their visual long-term memory. So in other words, you would say, I know this child is smart. I can tell him something and he can remember it and tell me, a year from now. But if he reads it or he sees it, it's like he can't remember it. Well, if you've listened to some of my other videos, you know that this hemisphere of your brain controls the opposite side of your body and vice versa. And so if the child is left-eyed, putting information over here, but they're looking for it to write it down over here, it can flip over and be reversed by the time that they get it written down, or it can just be really hard to find. It's like you're waiting, you're waiting for the answer, and finally it comes out. It's like, oh my goodness, why are we on this slow train to get this information out of your brain? Well, it could be because he stored it in the wrong place. Now, with the ear dominance, again, it can be influenced by outside things. If if both the ears hear okay, there's always a way to change the dominance. But the way to check for it is you could just be sitting right across from them and just talk and lower your voice, lower your voice, lower your voice until it's really soft, and see if they go, what are you saying? And see if they lean in with their right ear or see if they lean in with their left ear. Another way to do it is to have somebody whisper on the other side of the door, and the door's closed, and you say, go put your ear on that door and see if you can hear what they're saying. So you kind of make a mystery of it. They're walking from several feet away up to the door, and then they put their ear on the door and hear it. You might try it several different times. You could have them put their ear on the shell to see if they hear the ocean in the shell. And they're not picking the shell up because that could be influenced by their hand. If they're right-handed, it would be awkward to put it over here. But if you just put their hands behind their back and say, walk over to that shell and put your ear on it. Don't pick it up. Just put your ear on it and see if you can hear the ocean. And you just make a note, have them do it a couple of times or again over several days and find out which ear they're using. Now, if they're using the wrong ear, they're storing information in the wrong place. Oftentimes their processing rate is low. Like again, I had one mom say, I asked my daughter a simple question like, can you get the eggs out of the refrigerator? And it's like she stands there looking at me and looking at me and looking at me. And finally she says, yes. But it's just finally gone through all the little channels to come back out instead of just instantly coming out like it should. So this can cause auditory long-term memory issues, and it can cause that delay in processing as well that you see sometimes. And then you've got foot dominance. Foot dominance is basically you say hop on one foot, just hop on one foot, and you know which foot they're using. And then you have them run up to a ball and kick the ball. And unless they've been trained in soccer to use both feet, which is fine, uh, they you'll see which foot that they tend to use most of the time. And that's their dominant foot. So what we are always looking for in neurodevelopment is the most efficient way we can make the brain work, because the quickest point from A to B is straight across, not all the way around, and they finally get there. So it is most efficient if they have the right eye, right ear, and right foot dominant on the same side. We've got some excellent help for you if you're finding out these other things like their eyes aren't working good, their coordination has got a problem, they're having balance issues. And now that you know about dominance, if you see, oh, that's an issue too, we've got some great instruction for you that gives you activities that treat the root cause by stimulating the brain in those particular areas to make the brain work more efficiently. So I oftentimes think of it like a computer. Like we just moved about 4 years ago to a more rural area. and we had DSL. If you know anything about that, or if you're as old as I am and you know about dial-up, it's an inefficient brain is like a computer put on dial-up or DSL versus high-speed internet. It's the same computer. It's the same brain. It's the same smarts. It just needs to be having a better connection. So let us know if we can help you with that. Please like and subscribe for more information because I've been doing this a long time. It's not just dyslexia that I can help with. If they've got any kind of learning challenges, to me, it's just an inefficient brain. We work on that at the root cause, and we get great results and better function and change lives. That's what we're working toward. So if we can help you, just reach out to brainsprints.com. We've got many resources there for you to take advantage of. See you next time.